What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another video. How is everybody doing this beautiful Sunday evening? Got another banger video dropping in the playlist for you guys. But before we get into all of that, shout out to everybody who came up, showed out at the Shop Podcast 303 last night. And make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button if you guys are enjoying all of the content. The growth on the channel has been insane the last 5 weeks, man. I appreciate you guys, all the new people, the support. You guys are freaking amazing. But I want to dive into today's video. Now, what happens a lot of times here on the channel is I'll make a video or I'll make a thumbnail and I'll hold off on making a video. And sometimes it works out in my favor. And in today's video, this situation actually worked out in my favor. So if you're looking at the thumbnail like, Blam, what are you talking about? So ahead of the looming PlayStation Showcase, which is airing the 24th of May. So I believe that is this coming Wednesday. I will be watching that in somebody's chat, a part of somebody's panel or something, because I'm dying to see what Sony has to show. I do have one huge question. And once again, this is just me. If you don't agree with me, let me know down in chat or let me know down in the comment section. It does not bother me at all. This is why we do this. You know what I'm saying? So one big question I have still regarding Sony is, what are they going to do regarding these multiplayer games? What are they going to do with these games as a service games? I'm curious, what are we going to see? Because if you're new to the PlayStation ecosystem, if you just got in, your first PlayStation was a PS4, then you probably don't know PlayStation actually has a rich multiplayer history. They just abandoned it a long time ago, and I'm not knocking them because it did work. You know, they have a strategy, they have a formula, and it works. But if you don't know, there were games like Killzone, there were games like Last of Us Faction, there were games like Resistance, Fall of Man, there were games like PlayStation All-Stars. They had these multiplayer games, but they abandoned them. They didn't get a whole lot of support. They didn't really thrive. Some of the games had good graphics, a la Killzone. Some of the games actually had good gameplay, a la Resistance, but couldn't really put it all together. They never really stacked up to the Halos, the Gears, the Call of Duties, the Battlefields. They never really caught on. So Sony essentially just said, forget it. We're not going down that route. We're going to stick to our single player, narrative focused, story driven third person stuff, which is great, you know, and they've been phenomenal every time they come out. That's enabled them to focus on just quality and kind of do what they do and do it at the highest quality level that they can. But things have changed. Come along this thing called Game Pass, and it just threw a monkey wrench in everything. Now engagement is the biggest metrics. Now people are looking at reoccurring services. How are we going to keep people in these ever expanding larger ecosystems? We're not looking at just the initial 100 million that we're selling to. We're looking at 4, 5, 6 years down the line. How can we continue to grow this organically? You know what I mean? How can we continue to build on top of this larger ecosystem that we're trying to reach? And to do that, you need games in that service. You need to be able to put games, first party and third party games, into that service on a consistent basis. Sony did not have that. So when the wave hit, they weren't necessarily ready. Now, due to Sony's credit, because they have such a good brand strength, their quality is such known as such a high regard, they were able to withstand that. They were able to just kind of do their own thing, and it hasn't really affected them. All that much. You know, they've been able to rock with Call of Duty, you know, they've been able to rock with Destiny, you know, that's been able to buoy those third-party games, but now they needed to open up the ecosystem. So they've committed to doing that. So shout out to Sony. They went out and bought a bunch of studios. I'll put a few of them on the screen. I don't believe all of these studios are working on third-party games as a service games, but I know a few of them are. I believe Haven is announced to be doing that. That's Jade Raymond Studio. I know Deviation was, but Deviation recently just got, I believe, fired like 90 devs. So that was a huge hit. I don't think that game is being made. So I'm really curious to see what they bring to the table during this showcase. Now, do they need to do this? No, but it'd be nice because, once again, this is not something that Sony is known for. This is not really in PlayStation's wheelhouse. You know, we ask a lot of questions about Xbox being able to pull off those Sony-like third-person narrative-driven games. But can Sony make a narrative-driven game and include a multiplayer? Can Sony do PvP? You know, is their ecosystem going to be able to build on top of that? Are they going to be used to that? So these are the questions that I have. I'm not saying that they won't hit that level, but I have real questions because it's been so long since Sony has done this. A lot of their studios that carry them at this point don't make those kind of games. Insomniac doesn't make multiplayer games. At one point they did. Once again, Resistance Fallen Man, but it's been so long since we've seen that. Factions was announced years ago, and we have seen nothing from Factions. So who knows where that's at? A lot of people are waiting on that. I do believe that they can do it. Obviously, they went out and purchased Bungie for $2 billion. That was a direct result of them potentially losing Call of Duty in this possible ABK deal once the ink dries on that. So they really went out, and they do understand it is a priority for the ecosystem. So they went out and did the right things. They went out and opened up the pocketbook, spent some money, built some teams out, added some teams to do some backup stuff. So we'll definitely see, but I'm waiting to see what kind of games as a service games we see, what kind of multiplayer games are they going to offer to us gamers, because it's been so long since we've seen them really do anything in that genre. So we'll see. Once again, down in the comment section, guys, you guys let me know what type of multiplayer games, what's your expectation from a multiplayer standpoint from Sony. Are we going to get a couple new IPs? Are we going to get some third-party stuff? We're going to finally see the kind of tip of the iceberg of those games and service games they've been talking about within the next 3 or 4 years. So let me know in the comment section. Once again, guys, the Shop Podcast is coming up this week, 304. Come check us out. The engagement on the channel has been amazing. Share this out. You guys have been enjoying the videos. Peace out, everybody. Have a good one.